Welcome to the podcast of Good Neighbors, where we talk with those in Buffalo building businesses and doing awesome things to help us uphold our reputation for not just good beer and good wings, but good neighbors. Today, I am joined with Johnny Wagner,
What's
who
up, buddy?
is a real estate agent here in Buffalo, doing a lot of awesome stuff. And thank you for
No,
doing
man.
this.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think out of all the people I've worked with through my business, we have the most unique relationship.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
and I,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So started out kind of like you followed me on Instagram
Yep.
for a while.
Yep.
Reached out, said, "Hey, we want to talk about this video thing."
Great.
We ended up working together, and then through working together, I was like, I like the way this guy explains stuff, and it's making sense to me. Like I just ask you questions on shoots, and I was like, I need a house,
Yeah.
and then you became my agent,
Right.
and now we are in my house.
Literally.
So I think it's really cool that um, I like when business relationships can become like just intertwined, we help each other, and now we're contractually obligated to work with each other because I'm still doing video for you and stuff like that. But I think
Exactly. Yeah.
it's been really, really cool to like bounce ideas off each other, get to know each other on a more deeper level in terms of what our businesses want and what we want personally.
Totally.
So I'm glad we got to finally sit down and
Do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
real. It'll be permanent on the internet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I completely agree. This has been I didn't exactly know what to expect walking into this. And I know the first couple like Zooms we had or whatever was like you probably were like, what does this kid want? But yeah, no, this is going back and forth. I like the there's a lot of parallels between our worlds, but we're in separate industries, so it's good perspective back. It's been great. I
Yeah.
super appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think I've learned a lot, and it's equipped me for like just being more, because we work together so much and we talk about a lot just beyond just videos and stuff.
Exactly.
But real estate, I've learned so much about, where I can go to other people and say, even to help friends out, like, hey, this isn't what I've heard, or things like that.
Certainly.
But so I don't know too much about what you did before real estate though. So
Sure.
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I'm kind of a gypsy. I went to 7 schools before I graduated high school, school districts. And I had no plan on a high school. I wasn't very good at school, and I kind of had odd jobs and stuff for a couple of years, and decided I had to get serious about something. So I went to ECC for the Chrysler program to fix cars, and I was everything from the kids, pushing the snow off the cars in the wintertime all the way up to like a full-blown flat rate pulling transmission out technician. And it's definitely an honorable career, but maybe not something that I saw my body withholding for 30 or 40 years. And yeah, it's there's I'll be the first one to admit that I'm halfway decent at turning wrenches, but like past that, you kind of like just have to be an electrical engineer, and I'm not that. So like, it became clear quick that like if I'm going to do something at a high level, it will not be fixing cars. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made that switch into real estate?
Yeah. So my mom got into real estate sales about a year and a half before I did.
Okay.
And she did really well with it. And she's like, I think you'd be good at this. And I'm like, you're crazy. I had like it's a car mechanic. I was no social skills. I barely got haircuts. Like it was very like it was I didn't see it. And truthfully, I probably wasn't equipped, but it was I was waiting for a job at my dad's work, of all places. I did totally separate industry, and it was taking a while, and then they got bought up by this corporate outfit, and I saw that wasn't going to be a thing, and then I'm like, sure, I'll give this thing in real estate a shot. And it was so like when you go on Zillow and there's a contact agent button, they're selling that to real estate agents, and that was pretty new at the time. I got in 2016, and the team leader that I went to go work for at the time was like, even if you like can't generate your own business, like I'm buying these leads anyway. You can just work these leads and sell houses and learn the ropes. I'm like, great. And that didn't pan out how it was perceived in the beginning, but that's fine. In retrospect, I did it crazy, but I quit my job before I even took the licensing course to get my license, and I had what seemed like a lot of savings at the time, burned through all that in like 2.5 months. And I started polishing cars and valeting cars, separate gigs, separate companies, what have you. But I just knew car stuff and could fit that in my schedule, and got by the skin of my teeth for a couple of years, and then it started to kind of go, and I started to figure out how to explain things to people quickly and concisely and what have you, and that's what this is. These videos that we do are that, and yeah, I mean it. I love what I do.
That's good.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I am probably out of all the people I know, I've quit more jobs like, when I shouldn't have quit them. Like walking out and just like, hey, I'm not coming back. Or it's just like, hey, we realize, hey, I want to try something new and something's holding back. And then I think that eventually maybe there's different ways of going about it. But
Sure.
as long as you get to something that you really enjoy, and
Yeah.
you just by doing maybe the wrong thing, you're expediting that process. And you're not being like, man, you're not 10 years on the road. I'm like, I think I'm going to quit now.
Right.
It's just like you just made the decision. It always works out. I've been finding out that it almost always works out. And sometimes I stress the summer out a little bit when I'm like, we're fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. And I'm so impulsive. I'm like, it's gonna be fine because I haven't had it not work out.
Right.
So if I'm just going off of what evidence is showing me, it's like it'll work out. Well, things are fine.
Right.
I
think that people that run businesses at a high level aren't good at having jobs. Like so like, and obviously you're very good at what you do, and so that checks for me. Like screw that, like we're gonna do
yeah, having a job is I've even played it back in my head, like, can I go back? I'm like, I can't, because I feel like I can do things better than other people, and that's the issue that I always had with it. Or whenever I try to improve a process and it's we've always done it this way, and I'm like, well, that doesn't mean it's the best way to do things, and that's why I'm just not good at falling in line. And for better or worse, because obviously there are people, we need those people who are good at having jobs,
of course.
But yeah,
cool, man.
So you've been doing this since, you said, 2016?
Yeah, I got licensed, I think it was December of 2016, and I've done it. The cheapest house I ever sold was $7,000, and to date the most expensive was $950, unless I'm remembering that incorrectly. But
that's great.
And everything in between.
Yeah, so I mean, for doing it for so long, I got to imagine you're pretty good at it.
I sure like to think so.
I mean, you got to be good at it to last that long, even if regardless of the price, in order to get referral, things like that. So, so what do you think makes a good real estate agent?
I was just talking with somebody recently that said, like a very high producing real estate agent that said, if you show up on time and do the things you say you're going to do, you're going to be fine. And I think real estate's unique in that there's like a client has expectations of who they're going to work with and what those people are going to do and stuff like that. And I think that like there's so many personalities as real estate agents that like it's unique that they can, like, a very shy, timid person who's never going to do an ounce of social media marketing can be really successful. I know some agents that are that way. There's not even a headshot of them out there, and they crush. So I know that's kind of a crap answer, but I think taking it seriously, not thinking that I'm going to get a real estate license and I'm just automatically going to make an extra $30,000 a year because some people I know are going to buy and sell houses anyway. Like that's not like I feel very fortunate that there's a lot of buffer in the beginning where you can kind of screw up and make mistakes, and you find some people that'll guide you. But like at the end of the day, like it is a constant learning, constant just even today dealing with like things that pop up, your ability to make quick decisions and being okay with the consequences if it is the wrong decision is what makes or breaks a good real estate agent.
It always works out.
It always works out. That's it.
Make it work out. I think too, I think I mentioned this to you before. I feel like why people get into real estate is the same reason they get out, and it's usually the money. And it's like, I want to get in because I want to make a ton of money. But then they get out and they realize it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of trial and error to make that money. So they could, like, maybe I'm not cut out for it. But I think what makes people cut out for it is enjoying it.
I agree. Wholeheartedly. And actually, like, I enjoy learning things, but like the mechanics of a house. You know what I mean? Like if you don't care about that stuff, like it's like, how are you gonna, but no, I think you're spot on.
I think you have to have a certain level of like nerding out about what you do, but then learning how to turn that nerd out into something that's really, understandable for whoever you're working with. And I think that's, not just because you're in front of me, it's something you did really well.
Right.
And through us buying our house, we worked with two different agents before you.
Right.
And I think what really set you apart is personality. And I think
I've been.
the dog. um, I think having the personality and understanding how to leverage that into like connecting with people in the right way is really what sets people apart. And I don't know if many people know that they can like switch real estate agents.
Yeah, well, that's because the real estate agent won't tell them
Right.
that. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right, and it's. I mean, I see it all the time where people like my aunt Sally is a real estate agent, so it's just and like, and maybe Aunt Sally is a rock star, and she can explain all these things, and that's great. But
Yeah.
like, and I'm just pulling numbers, but like, odds are Aunt Sally that does it part time ain't gonna be there. She's just waiting for you to be like, this is the one I want,
Yeah.
and that's there's more to it than that.
Yeah. And not to say that the people I worked with before, they're very successful realtors.
Yeah, great.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
so much dependent on like how we're gonna get along.
exactly.
And I think that was what like sold it. And even when on one of our showings, I tell people this all the times. I got there, you were there before me. And as soon as I walked in, you're like, this house sucks for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, obviously that's important. It's for you. It doesn't mean it was a bad house.
Right.
It could have been. But
Yep.
I really appreciated just being honest and like saying like this isn't, but you know, maybe this isn't the house for you, but let's come take a look. Even I'd send you pictures, like, I don't think you're gonna like it, but we can go look at that.
For sure.
And I think there's a lot of value in like the education process that I think a lot of maybe people forget that you gotta put in the work to like get those referrals and things like that.
No question. Yeah, and that's the most common deer in the headlights moment I see out of people is like we'll arrive at a house and I'll be like, this is junk. Be on the lookout for this. Yeah. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, if we're in a piece of shit house, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you. Like I have no interest in A, having you dislike me as soon as you close on this house. And B, like I'm in and out of so many houses that like it's easier for like my perspective when we walk in a house, I know is a lot different than most people. And yeah, it's I enjoy it. And I enjoy that's where and it's not like I'm doing that just for referrals, but I think that is what makes the referral so strong is that I'm very honest in that way.
Yeah.
And sometimes to a fault, but yeah, it'll never stop. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think like referrals, obviously it's a huge referral based business.
Yeah.
But just because you get referred someone doesn't mean that's the right person for you. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, my best friend told me this person, but like maybe I just don't like them. Right. And it's, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with just not vibing with somebody. So I think it's valuable when you can find someone who just really you're going to enjoy working with because it's a process.
Correct.
And it's a roller coaster of a process.
It is. And you're going to be seeing a lot of each other, talking, texting at show. And like, it's like you're part, and then like I have people too. And maybe I'm a little desensitized to this now, but like we close and they're like, we're not going to see you. And I'm like, well, well, and part of the videos have been great because they still kind of see me, but it's, yeah, it is. It's the I probably told you this already, but most things in life are crawled and walked and run. And buying a house is very much the opposite. Where like we're running around and we're doing all these showings and figuring out, making quick decisions, and you get an accepted offer, and hopefully have a home inspection or at the very least like attorney approval stuff. You kind of like slow down and walk through, and then you hand over that deposit check, and everything comes down to a crawl. And all of a sudden, you're not talking with your realtor like you were every day, sort of.
I call it the communication whiplash, and like we're a little unique, and like even during that time we had other things we were working on, but it was still like, oh, we're not seeing each other multiple times a week.
Exactly.
It is really strange, and you're kind of sitting there like, oh, we have 2 months where we don't do anything.
Right.
But what are to that point during that 2 months between contract accepted and closing, is there something that people can do to like
speed it up?
We've talked about how to speed it up. Like apparently New York can't speed it up, but like what are something that a home buyer can do in that time to better prepare themselves for when it does start moving again?
Sure.
Do you have any tips for that, for like what to do in that time?
It starts moving again like towards the end of it?
Yeah.
No. I mean, you're being very prompt with your responses to your processor and your underwriter for your mortgage, and your attorney office for them. Sometimes you deal directly with the attorney, sometimes the paralegal, what have you. But being in touch with those people on the team for that process is it.
Right.
And most banks are very good about setting expectations and here's what you can do and should do and absolutely cannot do. And yeah, I mean, it is a symptom of New York State. There's no question. It's attorney state. And yeah, I mean, it's it really comes down to the seller, like we talked about with Eric. Like they get that title paperwork and this can go quicker and smoother. But
Yeah.
if they, I just had one recently where like we're like 3 weeks into it and they're like, oh yeah, we got to completely recreate the title. It's like, where was this?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. So I think just even understanding that 2 month gap's gonna be there is gonna be huge. And I think you can also have like, hey, once we find the house you like, it's
Right.
gonna be like I'm gonna disappear into the bushes
Yeah.
over Simpson's time, and I'll be back. But you're not gonna talk to me for a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in real estate, and this might be something that is learned over time, but how important is it to treat yourself as a business?
Mhm.
Even though you might be working under a brokerage,
Yeah.
they handle a lot of the stuff.
Sure.
But is there any value to thinking that way?
Yeah, certainly. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, so when you're brand spanking new and you know nothing, it's you need that guidance, and New York State even says like you have to be an agent for 2 years before you can like start your own or whatever. But as you get good at it and as you learn the skills, you're I look at a brokerage as kind of outsourcing the responsibility of the errors and emissions insurance and the printer and stuff like that, like the office space.
Right.
Great. But like as soon as you get to a point where you're making enough, but like you're keeping your head above water, you're making more commissions than it's costing you to drive around and do these showings and stuff. And I didn't do this right away, but I do it now. LLC, QuickBooks, accountants, stuff like that. It absolutely is. And just the uh when you're looking for houses and you get a house, the roller coaster, that roller coaster applies, but it's more extreme as you're beginning to sell houses. Like sometimes, like all of a sudden, there's days I put 12 grand in my pocket, and that's like, oh my God. But then like there's been 2 month stretches where I make $0. And it's like, just, I know it's scary to right, maybe not for everybody, but I know at least in my case, it was scary to like look at that and be like, oh my, look at all the things I have to do to try to gain some control over this. But like the more I did that, the more comfortable I felt about it, the more I can kind of project out like I know now 3 months with 3 months notice that I'm going to be in hot water if A, B, and C doesn't happen. Whereas like hot water day came, what are we going to do about it? That's the difference.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a lot like going to the doctor, like you don't want to,
bingo,
but
yeah.
I probably should. It's like I probably can live longer.
Yeah,
as
right.
opposed to just like, oh, guess what, you're gonna die in 6 months.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough to kind of look at the soft spots and like, I don't want to.
Well, it's the ability to give yourself the rope to be like, okay, this isn't going as efficiently as it could be, but I'm going to do something about that rather than beat myself up about it. I mean, that's probably bigger life stuff than business stuff, but that's it's the truth.
I think too, if you focus on just like the end number that you want to make versus I'm going to focus on the actions and skill sets that I can learn that will put that money in my pocket, I think you have much more probability of success. You're focusing on the actions and building parts of your business and systems and things like that maybe won't get you that number now,
right?
But you're much more equipped for repeated success.
Exactly, no question. Yep.
Yeah. So with that too, I know when you're under a brokerage, marketing is usually taken care of and helped with and things like that. How did or what was your thinking on when you reach out to me like, hey, I want to maybe start taking some ownership over that or differentiating myself,
sure,
or maybe why would other agents want to do that too?
Why would an agent want to take control of their own marketing?
Yeah, or maybe to not just rely on
what's provided,
the Canva graphics you get from everybody.
Right. Love Canva.
Me too. I use it all the time.
You're right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to like if you walk into your first day as a real estate agent, you say, I'm gonna be the accountant and the marketing person, and that's just so much. You know what I mean? So like it makes sense as a brand new agent to kind of like be associated with a strong brand and say, I'm new at this, but I'm gonna learn, and this is the support system I have. As you kind of climb those ranks, you realize that the brokerage doesn't matter. I mean, it does in some way, but people are calling me. They're not calling whatever brokerage I happen to hang my hat.
Yeah.
And I think that I still I think people have been saying this for 5 or 10 years now, and I still think it's true that like there's so much doing what we do. There's so much opportunity there to get in front of people's eyeballs in a unique way that like posting a sold sign as a still photo, that will do something, and
Yeah.
you should do that
Right.
stuff if you're not doing anything else. But people know me because of these videos.
Sure.
It's and some people know, like my family, obviously they're gonna buy and sell houses through me because I'm family and I'm good at this and that. But like getting in front of new people is there's a paid Ryan Sarant ad going around that's a video that says your only job as a real estate agent is lead generation, and the that's not totally true, but I would say it's the most important.
Right.
And taking control of your marketing is the best way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think going back to personality, when you can go to like multiple brokerages and multiple agents and they're all posting the same thing because they're made by the same people,
Oh yeah.
it's really hard to differentiate yourself. But to your point, you should be posting the sales you're having and the success you're having to show that you know what you're doing, because if you're selling stuff, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of being valued to people, because like to a certain point, I don't care if you sold a house. I want to know if I like you,
Right.
or if you're giving me tips and things like that. I think that's a really cool way to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be on video. I think video is the best way to do it.
I agree.
But if you even just making your own camera graphics, like here are my top 3 tips, or here's how I think of things, I think can go a real long way. And when you reached out and we had our first Zoom, you mentioned you'd done video before.
Oh yeah.
We don't name names.
Right.
Just
Totally.
what was the experience, or what was your expectation working with me, and were they different than what you got? Things like that. I mean, I'm not looking for you to,
Totally.
give me a testimonial. I'm just wondering what is the usual video that comes in when real estate agents specifically think of video versus what we did.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I not at all jokingly say that I did video poorly for like 4 years. And it starts with, getting a selfie stick or a tripod of some type and sticking your cell phone to it and talking to the camera. And that's not nothing. It does get in front of some eyeballs. When you start working with people that start bringing in the professional equipment, that is oftentimes how they view their that's their job. Is they show up, they make the lighting look good, you have the right equipment, they email you a uploadable file, great. But it's like, okay, go ahead. Right. I saw there was a general I don't want to say aura, but maybe that is the word, about your videos. You made a video that's like, hey, real estate agents, how about we stop with this and I'm like, oh, okay. So this guy knows how to get a big idea across very quickly. And that's a lot of what I talk about in the videos that we make are big picture stuff that we're boiling down to 90 seconds or less. And your ability to consult on that is I mean, it's anyone can go buy a fancy camera. Your consulting on that is the night and day difference. And I think it's really tough. I think there's got to be a tiny pool of people that see the value of video for business, can interpret that and get it across quickly. And it is a skill to be. I know you work with a bunch of different people in a bunch of different industries, and like to take that core and apply it to real estate or car detailing or whatever it's going to be. That's it's a getting that message across quickly and showing personality.
Yeah, I think definitely even just starting video with your phone is huge. And that helps just get over the initial jitters of posting yourself. But when you start to try to do the quality and you're thinking of all these cameras you have around, and it's nice to have someone just kind of focus, like, here's what we're going to talk about, or we've talked about it before. I'm not going to sit down and just talk about what you want to talk about. It's really understanding who you're trying to talk to with this particular piece of content, and be like, what do they care about? What don't they care about? Because they probably don't care that your name is Johnny Wagner right now. They know it. It's at the top of the little profile. So why waste 5 seconds saying who you are? I think it's little things like that that really help make it more impactful and more just hit more the person you're trying to have it.
No question. And keeping the hook, the body, and then the call to action at the end is like I never thought of it that. So
Right.
I started doing videos on a tripod myself, right? And I used to be in the Town Ferry Network, and Glenda Baker was the first one. So she's a real estate agent in Atlanta, and she when she started doing those videos, everyone was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Like, and then you kind of try to reverse engineer it, and I saw it in what you did, and I'm like, okay, and then like. So I come running up to all of a sudden, I'm like, here's the video I want to make. You're like, okay, but like it's got to be within 90 seconds. We need the hook, the body, and the call to action at the end. We don't always need the call to action, but like you're staying on top of what makes a video like that relevant. You've come to me and be like, we're gonna scrap everything and do it this way. And I'm like, great. Like, it's okay. Like I don't want to have to think about that stuff. Like
yeah, I mean, I love Glenda. I think I'm in a bunch of masterminds for video people, and people post her all the time and said like this. If you can find someone who sees the value in what Glenda's doing, I think a lot of time people think like, oh, as a Glenda, I can't do what she did, but she just started doing video, I think 2020.
Right.
So it's just a matter of having the resources, being strategic about it, and just having it. And like I said, just don't show up and say, I'm going to talk about this, but like, here's why I'm talking about this, or here's why whoever's watching is going to care.
Right.
Because a lot of people will just post things like, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care that you bought a watch this week because you're a great real estate agent.
Right.
That doesn't matter.
That's and that does work for some people, but I'm of the belief that I just want to provide value to people. I mean that. That's not like a clickbait or I'm not blowing smoke here. Like I just like people come to me and they're like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, A, I appreciate that you trust my opinion enough to do that, but B, like that's what I'm doing here. So like whether I'm spitting that into a camera or just trying to talk to as many individuals as I can, that's not a fit shot. Like it's and like we make a video and so it really resonates with somebody and they send it to it's just this huge momentum.
Yeah, I think to that point, like people focus on how many views they're getting and they're thinking they're not doing great.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that one view was someone I think you told me before, like it's a team watching it. Of like, it doesn't, and it's really on who those views are and what they're saying after they see that. Because there's a lot of, it's a lot of it's hard to know what's going on when people view it. They can, one person can view it and go talk about it to 100 people that they see. And
I mean, we're talking about Glenda Baker. There's no reason we'd be talking about real estate in Atlanta, Georgia, if not for
you're talking, so I'm gonna have this camera on you.
Excellent.
How much you just cook it, but we're good. I think it's a lot of times people don't see they're getting a crazy amount of views and they don't realize there's an intrinsic value of, especially, I mean, if you're paying for it, it's harder to like hold on. But if you're doing it yourself and not seeing views, that doesn't mean give up because you're still building your brand and again, differentiating yourself. And even if you don't need 1,000 people to view it, you need one.
Right.
And that person goes buys a house with you.
Right.
So it's, I think,
And that's, I mean, people get obsessed with the, like the tangible data, right? And views are an easy way to try to wrap your head around that. But I think you're spot on that the view count, the quality of viewers and how likely they are to actually use your services has a lot more to do with the actual count. And that's not a tangible thing. As close to tangible as we've gotten is just droves of people that are like, we might have to cut this part out, but ex-girlfriend of mine texted me and said, my mom loves your videos and she sees that that's actually your personality coming through. And I'm like, that's it. That's the the guarantee if they ever need to sell that house, they're calling me. That's like I would so much rather have 20 people in Western New York that are likely to buy or sell a house in the next 5 years see those videos than 10,000 randos that happen to be in India. You know what I mean? Like
it's especially with something real estate, it is kind of a long play sometimes. Like not everybody's buying a house right now.
Right.
But if I'm going to buy a house next year and you've happened to sometimes just being there longer than I just made a video about this, just being there longer than other people is sometimes enough just to win. You don't have to necessarily be better than everybody, but if you're just there longer and stay standing longer and everybody's jumping out because they couldn't handle it or they want to try something different, you can still get a lot of business through that.
Agree.
You mentioned the other day, kind of going back to real estate a little bit, the other day that time management is tough. And I don't think we ever really got to flesh that out. And I specifically what part, what specifically do, and this is just so I can improve my,
Totally.
knowledge and even maybe help you down the road.
Yeah.
What are the time sucks in real estate?
Whew. I mean, so I had a showing just before this, right? I showed up to this 10, 15 minutes late. That it's tough to predict what you're walking into. And give yourself plenty of buffer, which I thought I did in the
Sure.
the idea that it's so easy to communicate these that like text message, Gmail, so like it's just it's like whack-a-mole. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard to, like, a lot of real estate coaches and a lot, like, people love talking about time blocking. And to a certain extent, sure, like, so as real estate ramped up for both my mom and I, it became clear that we were going to be constantly canceling on each other unless this is when, and we do dinner on Tuesdays. I'm going there tomorrow night. We don't miss Tuesday dinner. And so, like, time like that, yeah, that's good. But like to map out your entire day is not practical with people that are going to need things that we didn't know was going to be needed an hour ago. Right. You need to spend that extra time on that show and explaining things to people. Just people have expectations. You have no idea what they are. I have people, you want to make an offer on a house, I have people that say, tell me where to sign. And I have people that say, I want you to walk me through every line of this contract so I know what I'm signing here. Unless I ask.
Right.
No, how am I supposed to know what so like it's yeah, I think one of the biggest time sucks of this business is managing people's expectations without them telling them to you.
Sure.
One of the ways I combat that is, so like, I get working with somebody and I'm like, just so you know, the best way to get a hold of me is text message. And I don't open the text message until it has my full and complete attention. So if you text me something and I don't respond to you for 6 hours, I'm not ignoring you. Right. I'm probably out on other appointments, or I'm at dinner with my mom, where like that's the time to have dinner with mom. So like I'm not doing work texts and stuff. Like everyone's gotta have time off and stuff like that. So like and that's been cute. That's been, so like the more I tell people how I'm going to operate, it's going better.
Yeah.
But the whack-a-mole is the time management problem.
Yeah, it's tough. And I don't think anybody has an issue if you say I'm only going to respond when I give my full attention, because on the flip side of that, it's like I'm saying the same thing to other people. So if I'm on an appointment with you, you're getting my full attention. So I think, yeah, setting expectations is huge. And even having, it takes time to build out like systems and resources for those people who are like, hey, can you walk me through every line?
Right.
Maybe you have something just until I can talk to you. Maybe you have a video. I mean, that's how my brain goes. It's like, maybe it's a client onboarding of where it's like a video that you send to someone when they say, hey, we're going to work together. Here's some quick things to help you set expectations, how the process is going to go.
Right.
And then, things like that.
Yeah.
But obviously not everybody wants that in their flow. So I think it's really important to figure out, I think systems in a business is huge. And I heard a quote the other day, I might butcher it. It was, we don't rise to the level of our potential. We fall to the level of our systems, something like that. Yep. And I was like, wow, that was a really good one, because it's true. And it's funny you bring up time blocking. Yesterday just bought a 55-inch TV to put on my wall.
Yep.
That is just for Milano. It's just a whiteboard.
Dude, you are. I am so jealous of how organized you are with your notes.
And I need my time. I want to try to work on time blocking. I need to know this hour to this hour I'm doing this and nothing else. Yep. And it's hard because just like with some of you, people text you and you're like, it's hard to like. So it's almost like, I think people, when they talk about time blocking, they do like an hour here, hour there. I almost need to be like, we're doing 30 minutes of this, 15 minutes to check things. Yep. So it's just learning that, and I'm buying like an egg timer to time myself on that.
Yeah, hourglass. Yeah, for sure. That's huge. That's huge. And I hesitate to have every minute of my day planned out, but like when you look at people, like you look at a CEO, they know what every minute of their day looks like.
Yeah, it's 10-minute meetings as opposed to hour meetings. It's like, what do you like? Right. Me, it's like if I have a shoot that day, that's all I'm doing for the day. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of value in building systems and at least knowing that the repeatable stuff that you usually think about all the time, you can kind of offload that.
Right.
So I guess we'll kind of wrap it up. And I have just a few more little questions. So we've been doing it for a long time. Mm-hmm. What keeps you in real estate? Like you mentioned before, you love it. Like what specifically do you love about real estate?
It's fun where you had mentioned that you were thinking about what it would look like if you had were to go get a job. I could never have a real job again. There's like, and obviously this is a real job, but like the punching in, no way. I always it is built within me for whatever reason to work long hours and be really detail oriented about stuff and in my own way. It's certainly not a perfect operation, but I realized quickly that if I'm going to be that way, I have to work for myself. And the control and the autonomy that comes with that, is huge. I definitely cannot do the drive to the same desk every day. Can't do it. I like even just the showing that I was just on. Friend of mine hits me up, says, "Hey, I know these people. They're trying to open a hair salon. They found this property. Can you go show it to them?" And like when I got there, met these people for the first time. They they didn't know what they were looking at, and just the hour I spend with them, and I'm like, okay, I see where you're trying to get to, and I see, my experience can get you there, and I can explain these things kind of concisely, and you can see the Rubik's cube spinning, like they're getting there. You know what I mean? And that's huge for me. And really, when you talk about home ownership, I mean, it's like it seems impossible, and I know it seems impossible. And you're talking minimum what 25 grand kind of check you got to cut to buy a house, like, ooh. Um, and I think it takes some gumption to call up a real estate agent and be like, I'm ready now. It's like, how could you ever feel ready? But like it takes some gumption and then being something of a shepherd for them, whether it's buying or selling. You know what I mean? Like it's like hopefully in time one day this house doesn't serve needs for you anymore, and you're like, okay, what do we do now? Like it's like, okay, I like to come in and be like, this is this is what I think is best. Here's some stuff you might not have considered. And that's not like I want to be a smartest guy in the room thing. That's like I just enjoy that I can provide that for people. And I do like getting to know about different parts of it. I thought of it like I pretty much have a like a Grand Theft Auto type map in my head of Western New York. I know most of the streets and the whatever.
You know where to get rid of your stars.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought after a while that would like kind of plateau, but like that every time I go to a neighborhood or like I'm never not learning, and I never get stagnant,
Right.
and it's challenging. I have this weird thing where like I'm either not doing something, like I can't do easy mode on anything. And like when you start, I'm not a big video game guy, but like it makes sense for me to start a video game on easy. But like I almost at this point, I just start on the difficult one and try to reverse engineer from there because it's like that's just how my brain's wired.
Right.
And it's complex and it's I don't know if this is going to come across the right way, but some real estate agents definitely have a used car salesman reputation, and getting in front of people and seeing them kind of disarm themselves and be like, okay, we can have a real conversation and
Right.
trust this guy. Yeah, he's great. It's huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. I really do.
Yeah. I think it sounds cliche to say, but you do change people's lives. And it's not even like it sounds cliche to say that, but like just by the act of them buying it is literally a life change.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to be rewarding to at least see someone spend 6 months, a year just trying to get a house and they can't do it and they finally get it. And then it's like just things literally change. Like just and I think you've said before, it's like it never feels like the right time to buy a house. We definitely didn't feel like we were like, damn, like you said, 25 grand to pay. There's a lot going on. Yeah. But now you tell me certain things that are going on currently. It's like, well, I'm glad I got it when I got it. And I feel like this has always been the case. It's like there's always a reason to not do it.
Yeah.
Whether that be buying a house, starting a business, doing whatever.
Yeah.
But it's always the best time to do it.
Yep.
And it's usually when you feel the least comfortable is the best time to start doing it.
Right.
I think it's almost a point of like you have to wait till it gets so uncomfortable that you just gotta do it. Cause like
that's true for a lot of things. It's actually been very true for me in general. Like even like changing careers and stuff. Like I kind of have to like hate something before I'm gonna like really make a big change. But yeah, I mean it's like the I remember the first time we went and looked at a house, you and I, and Summer was there too, and the house was crap. And I'm like, well, this other house down the street is like, we're here, let's go have a look at it.
Yeah.
And like, you guys wouldn't have considered it. And that I'm standing there at the end of that show. I'm like, holy shit, I think they're considering something. It's very,
we were.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's part of my impulsiveness too, because I'm like, I just want to get it. If I want to make the decision, I'm so bad at just being patient, like buying my car.
Yeah.
I almost want to call them and say, hey man, I waited 10 days, I don't want my car anymore.
Right.
But
Yeah.
no, I think and you doing that just helped. Again, it just shows that you cared about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to. You just said, all right, and we would have probably still continued. We would have just been like, let's go find another one.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
going back to like, you might not like this one, but let me show you some things. And that was very much a grandma's house.
Yeah.
And you were able to explain just little things. And I think the end goal of like, at least how I work with my clients, I think how you work with yours is you want them to be so like very educated and know exactly and almost be able to like you just at this point you're just walking in and you're just talking shop almost like
Right.
like, oh yeah, I noticed this one, it's got a crawl space. So and they're kind of like selling to themselves a little bit. And I think the education piece is huge.
Yeah.
Which we really appreciated.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So 4 real quick.
Okay. Yeah. No, yeah.
We might be able to use these. I purposely crafted these ones so we can cut them out and use them.
Great. Yeah, totally.
So what would be your top tip or maybe 3 tips for buyers?
3 tips for buyers. Sure. I mean, trying to wrap your head around spending multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars is really tough. Reverse engineering it from the monthly payment is the way to do it. And understand, so like your monthly payment, the acronym for it is PITI, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. All of those are sliding scales. Wrapping your head around that and being confident in where you're comfortable for the monthly budget is way easier than trying to wrap your head around spending that kind of money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tips that we probably can't put online that I get. Sometimes it has to happen. I have people that want to use the bathroom at every showing. It drives me crazy. And there are people that watch these videos that have done that, and we gotta be careful about that. But don't use the bathroom in somebody else's house. I get if you have to. I've had to.
Yeah.
I get it. But like, no, don't be doing that. No, but yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's just at risk of sounding too big for my britches, you're hiring somebody to be an advisor. And if for some reason you don't like the advice that you're being given, that's okay. Maybe it's not coming across the right way. Maybe your real estate agent's a jerk. You got to be objective about that, and you got to find someone that resonates with you, and you should really listen. And like, I have people that come to me and they're like, my checking account's at M&T, so that's where I'm getting my mortgage from. And it's like, would you consider getting it somewhere? Because the only reason I care why somebody gets financing where they get it is because, like, if we're in a multiple offer situation, who the bank is makes a difference. If we're the only offer on the table, we might have to bleep this, but is the biggest offender of spitting somebody a prequal and then just everything goes to hell. And I had them one time. They delayed closing like a month. We get to the closing table and they wired the money to, like, we're talking like 250 grand. Wired the money to a completely unrelated attorney. Gave the wrong person 250 grand. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So like, it's listening to that advice, and if you're not going to, finding somebody who, again, can resonate better with you is huge. Because it is a team of people. It's a real estate agent, it's an attorney, it's a home inspector. It's like, having those people around you is actually, I don't know if the person that did this will watch this video, but I'm at a home inspection one time with my favorite home inspector in the world and some buyer clients who they're great people. And they weren't really saying much of the inspection. The inspector's trying to show them stuff and whatever. And we've been there like an hour and a half, and like the inspector's over looking at something else. They walk up to me and they're like, we're not really sure about this because like we don't really know. And I'm like, you know, you're paying multiple hundreds of dollars to talk to somebody about this stuff right now, right? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that's I don't know if we can use any of that, but great question.
I'll let you watch it.
Go.
I think it kind of goes back to the job. So you might have an agent, you might have a job, you can leave it as long as it doesn't get you there quicker. Because the more, if you just gotta trust your gut sometimes. And I don't think even if like someone was working with me and like, hey, we're just not feeling this, and we find a way to amicably, split,
Yep.
that's it's probably going both ways. So like, yes, maybe you aren't vibing with that person probably isn't vibing with you. And
Yep.
I think it just helps everybody. And when you just kind of realize, hey, this isn't working,
Mhm.
and there's definitely a way to do that professionally or the right way where no one really gets hurt. I mean, it sucks to lose the money, but I'd rather you have a better experience and me go focus my energy on other things.
Spot on. Yep.
So do you have any horror stories or funny stories?
Ooh, oh,
Or just pick one?
sure do I. Yeah. Client of mine owns a bunch of houses on the east side, and he probably bought 6 or 7 houses through me as rentals, and never had me sell one. He calls me up. He's like, "Hey, I want to sell this one. Why don't you come by and have a look?" I was like, "Great." So I show up, and there are tenants there, and they are not happy about the prospect of this property being sold, nor are they happy about the conditions of the house.
Sure.
And so I'm just like, okay, like I'm just here to like look quick and I gotta get an idea for value, whatever. And I got like a, Rottweiler going crazy. I'm like, okay. And I go down into the basement with the property owner, and he's showing me the mechanics and stuff. And then I hear the door shut, and I look around, and I'm like, oh boy, there's a really upset tenant standing between me and the only way out of this basement. And he was mad, dude. He was mad. And he's like complaining about the plumbing, and I'm like, I realized in that moment, like, he doesn't care that I'm not the guy responsible for that. And that was a big safety wake up. And especially when you're new in the business, they impress that upon you. And unfortunately, I know that is especially true for women. And I'm sure that adds a whole dynamic. But I'm I'm not thinking.
Right.
I'm a dude, and I do this all the time. It's an automatic mode looking at a house, and when that door shut, dude, I was like, oh
Yeah.
boy, this could get spicy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's horror story.
So Summer and I have one that we talk about all the time.
Okay.
We were going to look at a showing.
Yeah.
There's like a last, like, hey, let's go look at this one.
Yeah.
There was a rock in this driveway.
Yeah,
Of this,
I know this story.
of this, and it was this rock, this big, like bigger. And we're waiting for it, and we see Johnny coming up, and he drives a nice car, and we're like, he's gonna smack this rock, and he did.
Yeah,
I literally yelled in the car, but there's nothing we could have done.
Yeah.
And you move the rock like a 3-4 feet, and you get out like, did I smack that rock? Like, yeah, you did. And then the worst part was like that house like sucked. I felt so bad.
Oh.
I don't know how you went home and like not like swearing the whole ride home.
Yeah. You gotta let that stuff roll off you, man. And that's I can't remember if I've told you this or not, but before that car, I had 2 cars totaled on me within like a year.
Jesus.
So like I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like here we go again. Like
Yeah, I usually sometimes want to take the Casey Neistat approach of just like breaking the thing you get right off the bat,
Yep.
like scratching it. Like now it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Like cool. Once I drop something,
Yep.
Okay, whatever. It's now just serving its purpose.
Yes.
I think that's huge.
I agree.
I asked this question to everybody at the end of this.
Great.
You are successful. You have you can pretty much work wherever you want. You were just in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Why Buffalo? Why do you stay?
Why do I stay here? I mean, I do love it. And I really enjoy traveling and getting a feel for like what a place is really like. And so like Los Angeles is a good example of that. A very good friend of mine, Taryn, has family that lives in Thousand Oaks, California, which is like Will Smith lives in Thousand Oaks, California. Nice California suburb. And like the first time I went to LA, I'm thinking like Hollywood sign and but like to go be with the family, see the sights, be really kind of integrate. And I've had an opportunity to do that a bunch.
Right.
Those people are fantastic. Sapphire family, love them. I've had an opportunity to do that a lot of places. Nothing stacks up. It really doesn't. And I've even wanted out before. The cold gets a little, and I've learned that if I'm intentional about fitting some time away from the cold in around the holidays and stuff like that, it's easier.
Right.
But It is. I've probably said this on video a million times already, but it is the world's biggest small town. And the idea that there's kind of like this unwritten honor system of like you are never more than 3 degrees of separation
Right.
from somebody. So like if you're gonna be an asshole, people are gonna know
Yeah.
it. And that's I think that's like that's what community is.
Mhm.
I maybe that's it. I think that that's cliche as it may be, is like it really is a bunch of people that care. Now maybe not everybody.
Right.
And I'm 28 and I've been very fortunate that the last at least decade, maybe two, have been very prosperous for Buffalo.
Right.
And um yeah, to see the growth, to see the way that people come together, it's kind of funny, but like the something happens with a football player and the Bills are related, and all of a sudden the entire fan base is donating piles of money to like I like that ain't a gimmick. That like that's people around here are that way. And it's like you go to LA and there's people that are way too big for their britches,
Yeah.
and they're very it's I'm gonna steal this right from Rogan, but the a population gets too big and the value of a single human being kind of goes down, right? Where like there's kind of like, but like the other end of that spectrum is like if there's 12 people living in a town, you better be getting along with everybody. Because like so like there's this like I think there's like 1 million people here or so in the greater Western New York area. I think it's the right size. We made a video about this, but I really think the snow does keep a lot of the assholes
Yeah.
out. And yeah, man, it's I love that I can be anywhere in 15 minutes from my front door. I love that it has like Ellicottville is kind of like a small Breckenridge.
Right.
The Hamburg has a quality beach. Like there's so much here. And I just I don't have the patience for people saying that there's nothing to do in Buffalo. It's just
Yeah.
not true. And it's yeah, man. And of course I'm partial to it because my family's here, and there is something to be said that I've established a real estate sales business here.
Sure.
So I'm likely never permanently going anywhere. I do and have been exploring the idea, maybe doing the
Yeah.
snowbird thing or whatever. But yeah, it's there is no place like this place, and I couldn't be a bigger fanboy.
Yeah. I think the community is awesome.
Yeah.
And even if you aren't like a Buffalo community person,
Yeah.
it's easy to find that community for you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't not, and what you'll find out is like you'll build this little circle of friends, and then like, oh, they're connected with these people who maybe you didn't think about connecting with, and all of a sudden you realize everybody knows each other. Like you said, it's
Right.
just the world's biggest small town.
Wild.
So
Yep.
I totally agree. Well, thank you so much for
Dude, thank
demo.
you.
This
Yeah.
has been
This is fun.
this is awesome. I think it's my longest one yet. And that's always
Great.
good. That's always a sign of a good conversation. Not to say they were bad.
Yeah.
I was probably just not the best conversationalist when I first started doing these. But
Yeah. I've watched them all. I
Yeah.
think they're great. I really, yeah, seriously, front to back, all of them.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're good at everything I've seen you do. You're good at.
I appreciate
and yeah, I am exceptionally appreciative of your the way that you do things, your influence, your ability to be like, hey man, like I really think this is how this should be done. Like I think that's hard to find in this world. And yeah, man, I super appreciate you.
so I appreciate you, and we have some content to go film. So
Hell yeah, let's do it. I like it.
thanks.
Thanks, bud.